Welcome back to the program. I'm Zev Brenner. Very proud to have, I consider, a heroic individual, someone who's doing good. He's an outspoken Lebanese leader against Hezbollah. I'm talking to Ahmed al-Assad. His 800 years in Lebanon, 3 generations involved in politics. He is the head of the LOP, the Lebanese Option Party. They were in parliament, not currently in the government because of their opposition to Hezbollah, lives under the threats of assassination from this terrorist group. And he also has Saving the Next Generation Foundation. He wants to make a difference, international businessman, but also develops real estate in Lebanon. And Hezbollah's after you, but have they gone after your business interests in Lebanon?
No, this is the good thing is that they have not gone after my business because my businesses or my construction projects are mainly in areas that are not controlled by Hezbollah. So it would mean it would be backfire for them if they would do anything at this moment, and that's why they prefer not to do anything.
Now, you yourself are a Shiite. Now, majority of Shiites supportive of Hezbollah, not supportive? Tell us what the situation is on the ground.
The Shias, Zef, are like every other people in the world. Shias want to live like everybody. They want to have their kids go to school and have a bright future. I mean, people are people. You cannot label anyone anymore. They all want the same things. They all want the same aspirations for their loved ones. The problem is that when a group like Hezbollah comes along and gets 60 or 70, between 60 and 70 million dollars a month from the Iranian regime, they employ 55,000 to 57,000 people from the Shia communities on the ground from different areas where the Shias are. So then this gives an impression that Shias are with Hezbollah, but the opposite is true, because thank God Iran is not such a rich country. Iran is not able to put all the Shias in Lebanon on the payroll of Hezbollah. 55 to 57,000 is a big number, but still that's a small margin of the Shias that exist in Lebanon. The other Shias don't profit anything from Hezbollah. On the contrary, their businesses are not doing good. They're not getting anything from Hezbollah, and especially now they see that the unemployment is going up. The economical growth in Lebanon is not moving in the right direction. But as I said, because you are dealing with a very oppressive and cruel and tyrant party, that's why people don't speak up, and that's why people think that once they see these 100 or 200,000 people in rallies that Hezbollah organized, just because he has 50, like I said, 55,000 on its payroll, so each one of these people have to bring his direct family to a rally. It's an obligation. So people see that and think that all the Shias are with Hezbollah. Well, no, the majority of the Shias are not with Hezbollah.
So have they won the last election?
They're not getting anything from Hezbollah, but they don't dare to speak out. Like with every oppressive regime, when you had the communist elections in the old Soviet Union, when people used to go to vote, you see that 99% were voting for the Communist Party. And from one day to the other, when things changed, when people were really able to express their beliefs, their opinion, you see now that the Communist Party in Russia gets somewhere between 14 and 18% of the votes. This is exactly the same, and you are dealing with a party that is even more oppressive than the communists used to be in the old Soviet Union.
Ahmed al-Assad is our guest, a Lebanese leader. So if elections were to be held today, would the Hezbollah do as well in the elections? Because that's where they got their strength right now, is that fact they're able to dominate parliament.
Of course they will do good in elections, because whatever elections under Hezbollah, it's a farce. It's not going to be an election. It's a parade. It's just a joke. So of course they're going to do good, and everybody's going to be scared to death not to vote for them, and everybody's going to feel that he has to vote for them. Otherwise, he's going to pay the price for that.
question that I have for you is, and what is the perception of Israel in your party, in your communities? Hezbollah was based on opposition to Israel. That's a raison d'etre, or at least officially, we know it's not true. We see it happening in Syria. But what's your group? What's your position on Israel and the Jewish community? And there is no Jewish community in Lebanon today anymore. There used to be, not anymore.
Yes, as I said, we believe in the 21st century world. We believe that we should not differentiate people by labels. People are people. What do I care if somebody is a Muslim and a Shia, if he's a thief, or he has no ethics, no morals, and he's a liar? What I care is what he's made of, what his character is, how decent he is. So we don't have these labels. We don't buy into that because you are a Jew, you are this, or because you are a Shia, you are this. What matters is what's inside of you, what your heart is made of. And we believe that we have to make peace with Israel. Enough of this mumbo jumbo, enough of this blah blah. We have to move on. We have to put all our energy and efforts into building our economies into the future and finding jobs to our kids. And this animosity with Israel is actually making these extremists stronger and stronger, and they are using it as a tool in order to create a more poor and a more ignorant Middle East.
Now, is this your opinion? Is this the opinion of lots of people in Lebanon? Because I know when Israel first came in, when they tried to drive out the Palestinian Liberation Organization, there was a different perception. Things changed over the course of time with the radicalization of terrorist groups. That's changed.
This is my opinion. This is my party's opinion. And however, we are the only party in Lebanon that speaks out with these beliefs. We are the only party that dares to go out on the press and say what we stand for. And today, for example, the memory of killing our beloved hero Hashim Salman in front of the Iranian embassy. There was an interview just today that happened on Lebanese television on MTV with a couple of our students, and they were saying exactly the same things. And these are Shia students. One is from the south, and one is from the suburbs of Beirut, and they were saying exactly the same thing as I said right now.
Now I'm curious now, what about in education in the schools? Are they teaching that Jews are subhuman beings? Are they teaching things about Israel, that Israel is a terrorist state, etc.? Isn't that what Lebanese children are being taught?
The whole system now is just under the control of Hezbollah. So even the educational system is under its control. So unfortunately, this is what you have in the official books in schools, etc. And it's a lot of propaganda that is the goal of Hezbollah to be able to implement it, and in order to always have this image that there's a great Satan out there, which is the U.S., and there's a small Satan, which is Israel.
Now, this is being taught in schools even beyond the control of Hezbollah. You were building in areas that are not Hezbollah dominated, but is this the education that pretty much every Lebanese child is being taught?
It depends. It varies from school to school. Depends whether they are public schools or they are private schools. But there are taboos, and these taboos, an institution, a school, is worried to break them. They are fearful to break them because of Hezbollah's dominance. Well, we at the LOP, we want to break these taboos. We believe we will not be able to progress, we will not be able to really be part of this 21st century world if we're going to be living in this time of day with these silly taboos that Hezbollah's and the likes of Hezbollah have implemented in the Middle East.
But from what I'm gleaning from you, and I saw in others, even in areas that are not Hezbollah dominated, they are still teaching these terrible things about Jews. So that's why I'm asking that question. And I know that also Christians are being persecuted. You have less Christians in Lebanon than ever before, and throughout the Middle East, Christians are fleeing as well because of persecutions and killings. So it's not just a war against the Jew that's taking place; it's also against Christians.
It's against anything that's not like them and speaks like them and acts like them. I mean, even Muslim Sunnis are evil, Christians are evil, Jews are evil. Even Shias like myself, I'm a Shia, but because I speak with a different tongue, because I speak out my mind, that's why I'm also evil and called all these beautiful names. So you are dealing with a party, you are dealing with an Iranian regime that does not accept freedom of speech. Period.
No, it doesn't. So, but when you speak out and you say things for Israel, you say that to the communities there. What kind of reaction do you get from the average person?
They nod their heads. they nod their heads. They don't say anything. They nod their heads. That's as much as they can react.
How large is LOP? How large of a constituency does LOP, the Lebanese Option Party, have in Lebanon today, in your opinion?
How many what?
Constituency. How large would you say those that belong or share your values, your ideals?
Oh, I believe that we have a lot of people that sympathize with us, and a big majority of the people through all sects. But I believe you cannot see them now because of the oppression, unfortunately, that you have in Lebanon.
Now, with the current situation in Syria, with ISIS making tracks and Hezbollah very heavily involved, they're trying to cover up all the Hezbollah fighters, the terrorists that have been killed there. Are you concerned because we're seeing that some of the terrorism is coming into Lebanon? At some point, will more of that affect your country?
Yes, definitely it will, because this is a cycle, Zef. I mean, it's a cycle that never ends, and extremism on one side strengthens extremism on the other side. The presence of Hezbollah, the actions of the Iranian regime, its policies throughout the Middle East is what created ISIS and strengthened ISIS. And now ISIS being there and being strong is also playing in the hands of Hezbollah and the Iranian regime. So at one point they have a common interest, and the presence of one group strengthens the presence of the other group.
Certainly
and this
does.
is why you have to see them all, put them in one pot. You cannot say that this is an extremist group that you can deal with, and this is an extremist group that you cannot deal with. You have to go at it at all the extremist groups in the Middle East, and not think that you can do business with the Iranian regime, however, go after only ISIS. This is naive, this is silly. You have to go at it to all the extremists in the Middle East and confront them and weaken them.
How is it perceived that the United States and the Western world will, at the end of the day, probably make a deal with Iran, which will eventually lead to them having nuclear weapons?
This is a very bad deal, Zef. This is a very bad deal that will not achieve anything. When you are dealing with an Iranian regime, this is a regime that will not relinquish its goal to make a nuclear bomb. It will merely put it in the freezer just to get the cash it so much wants. And imagine now this regime, this is a poor country. I mean, we are dealing with Iran that is over 80 million people and has a gross domestic product of $369 billion. So just to give a sense for your radio listeners, you have the Emirates, which is next to Iran, with 6.5 million people, and has a GDP of $420 billion, even more than Iran. Iranian people are poor. Because they have a government that don't know how to run an economy. They have a government that lives in the Middle Ages, not because the Iranians are incapable. Iranians have a lot of capable people, but unfortunately they're not the decision makers nowadays. So imagine this government with so little money is able to wage war in Lebanon, is able to wage war in Syria, is able to wage war in Yemen, in Iraq, and in Bahrain now they want to wage war. Imagine what this Iranian government would do if it has $55 billion cash in its hands. My God, the whole Middle East would blow up. So we believe that this is a very bad deal. It's a deal that will achieve nothing. Iran will not relinquish. Iran will put its goal to achieve a nuclear weapon in the freezer until it gets the money, and under some silly excuse it will go on doing this nuclear bomb, exactly like the Syrian regime did. Bashar al-Assad signed an agreement, as you probably recall, Zef, 2 years ago regarding the chemical weapons, and he said, okay, I'm not going to use chemical weapons, and he signed this protocol on the United Nations, and all that was great. And now we hear in the news, week in, week out, Mr. Assad is using chemical weapons again against his own people. So we have to learn from history and know that these tyrants, they never respect their words, they never respect their signatures. And it's naive to think that they're really going to stick to it this time.
You raise an interesting point, because put the nuclear issue on the side. If Iran gets money, if it's spending money now promoting terrorism when it has limited resources, imagine what it will do when it has a lot more resources, like billions of dollars. It's a very potent argument, and I agree with you. It's a bad agreement, deal, and it's unfortunate that it looks like it may come to fruition, that a bad deal will go, and I think everybody has to speak out about it. So we appreciate your courage, your conviction, your outspokenness, and we look forward to having you back, and may God give you success to continue your important work in Lebanon. Our guest has been Ahmed El-Assad, an outspoken Lebanese leader against Hezbollah and its Iranian agenda. He's head of the Lebanese Option Party, LOP, a Lebanese secular party. He was in parliament 800 years. His family has been in Lebanon. His father and grandfather were Speaker of the Parliament. And he's also head of the Saving the Next Generation Foundation, looking to educate Shiites and Lebanese to a different world out there. He's international business. Who funds, by the way, Save the Next Generation Foundation?
Saving the Next Generation, which is, we have a website, is savingnextgeneration.org, is completely funded by myself, and we have, our budget last year was $3.8 million, which I funded myself. And we're looking to grow these numbers, and therefore we're looking for people to help us, support us, in order to grow these numbers, because like I said, we have now 1,560 kids in our program. We want them to become 15,000 kids, and this would make a great impact. If we have these kind of numbers, we would really be starting to change the ground in Lebanon, and like I said, this is a program that can be duplicated elsewhere in the Middle East. So if you want to support Saving Next Generation, you can go to our website, and we'd be very much appreciative.
Let's give the website information one more time.
It's Saving the Next Generation, savingnextgeneration.org. We are a 501c3 U.S. foundation. And this is the website, and once you go on the website, you can see all the beautiful work we do and everything we stand for.
Ahmed El-Assad, thank you for joining with us, and we thank you for your courage, and we look forward to having you back on a future broadcast.
Thank you, Zeph. It was an honor.
And we're going to be right back. Don't go away. Stay